Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and sharing this space with me. Thank you, Khadija, for, where is she? Hey. Okay. For sharing this with us. I will also bring some or read something for everyone. And it's very much also about anger and things that anger me and things that have been angering me and things that keep me in a constant state of anger and rage, even though I may look calm. I don't know if I look calm, though. I'm like, anywho, the horizon lies on my lips, and I want to speak the end of times, because it has never been what we call 5 to 12. No, the clock was one of the doomsday's devices, because you cannot just force time into a straitjacket. There are consequences. There are diseases associated with it. Because who remembers? Who remembers? Who remembers? Because I keep forgetting. I forget what I forget. I don't even know what I forget. And the symptoms pile up and reach to all corners of space, like these outstretched fingers searching for a beacon of salvation, looking for something that can pull us out of this nightmare. And I stumble and I fall because time beats against me, beats against my body mercilessly, my body even deteriorating. Am I the last one? I am surrounded by ghosts, and it's raining the ashes of their bodies. So now that the darkness has fallen like a sheet draped over you, after these machines have completed their dissection, you will remain forever unfinished. Life will continue to be taken from you, even after death. You existed only in the colonial imagination and have never been the owner of your body and mind. You were given, wielded, internalized, and shaped by that illusion, slowly cannibalizing yourself. Your self-image in a state of decay since 1492, or was it 1453, or was it when was it? Their purgatory exported worldwide. And you cut yourself in multiple pieces while live streaming it for the voyeurs. So, sell what you think you can spare to the highest bidders. Let them lick your wounds, satiate the bloodthirsty. You are a monster. You are deformed, torn apart, and put back together, eaten, chewed, digested, and spat back out. You were shaped in their imagination because you are the other. You are not them. You will never be them. You will be discovered. You will be property. You will not be talking but screaming. All death cries in infinite nothingness. They installed emptiness in your world, viruses in your mainframe. Your brain in handcuffs, DNA in a database, worlds buried in this world in a nuclear winter. And the empire, armed with clocks, states that the sun can never set on them and has placed you in their economic climate refugee fantasy. You are enslaved. You are enslaved, the forced laborer, the colonized, the guest worker, the seeker of happiness in a profit model that says happiness is not free because labor makes you free, apartheid makes you free, segregation makes you free. Their architecture aimed at building walls, fences, gates, logs, barricades, barriers. The fort must be defended against the hordes seeking to feed on their prosperity, acquired through rootless hunger. The colonial mouth, this colonial mouth, remnants of consumed worlds that haunt our bodies, possessed by whiteness, possession of whiteness, a desert of decaying dreams, a mass grave of worlds, eyes bigger than their stomachs with a gaze fixed on infinity, the arrogance of their greedy fantasies rooted in boundless eating habits and insatiable hunger, a flood of violence, memories of what I never was, locked in what I am today, and no vision at all of what the future holds. But Fanon said that the eruption is not coming today. We are but dormant volcanoes, while Baldwin wrote the fire next time with a pen dripped in lava. So to paraphrase this antimatter, I am but a sounding board of after us the deluge, and speak in tongues as if Babylon has started in my lungs, a contours of a gate, a gateway to my kind, a mirror to my soul in an apparent playfulness, without the original sin of the evening land. I will tear down this building, tear the roof of the sucker, without their tools, with bare hands in this life and the next. It is, yes, the ghosts of the diaspora, Drexia, in the footsteps on the bottom of the oceans. In the footsteps on the bottom of the oceans, I can touch stars, dissolve the colonizers, unwrite history, erase their timeline, because my cipher is infinite. I am surrounded by phantoms. I am baptized in tradition. I am rooted in their dreams. I see our family trees. We reside in an African continuum, in a diaspora continuum, ad infinitum, and that is what I claim, because whiteness is very often, more than not, a tumor in my brain, an inseparable part of me until I separate body and soul from this life and hide in the underworld where no one is safe, a poison that seeps in everywhere, a constant threat, countless worlds disappearing, mining, depopulating, dissolving. No, it is extraction, exploitation, destruction. Extraction, exploitation, destruction, extraction, exploitation, disruption, extraction, exploitation, destruction. It's a mantra of violence, and it repeats itself. It repeats itself. It repeats itself constantly. It repeats itself constantly, and it's like jammed into my brain. It's like a memory jammed inside my memory. It's a RAM memory jammed in my memory, or how cells also can be replaced by microchips. I am locked in cybertech and bring out my tectonic turntables, bringing a shift in power dynamics with every earthquake, turning the iconoclasm into a cyclone, synchronized with an inner web of emotions, searching for machines on algorithms, and my passwords are cryptic. I had to delve deep, very deep into the clouds to find my wings, open my windows to a non-Western world, and climb to the roof, mount an antenna, and download the whole universe with 5G on a hard drive with infinite terabytes. These flesh and blood hourglasses that race against time with deadlines that look like borders, barbed wire stretching deep into space, satellites that are like multifaceted eyes, like, what's it called, Deus ex machina. The gods are harvested, patented and cloned in service of a techno-industrial imperialistic agenda, and they quest for immortality. Gluttons, they devour everything in their paths, destroying everything. They destroy everything. They destroy everything. They kill everything. They destroy everything. They want everything gone. They want to kill everything. They want to burn everything down to the ground, to the bone, to the roots. Barely eaten, barely eaten, barely eaten. But I wander along the cowrie roots, the cowrie shells, populated by myths of uprooted dreams, like sleepwalking giants, tracing traumas along the bite marks on my neck, in the scent of sugarcane and spices. In the scent of spices and sugarcane lies the source code, the motherboard, a diaspora continuum from the Underground Railroad to the Haitian Revolution, from Le Monde tot Simira Adamu, from Anton de Kom tot Bandung. The West is an invasive species and continues to terraform continuously all over the world because they hate the world. They hate the world. They hate the world so much. They hate it so much that they search for other planets to start the process anew. Exploitation, extraction, destruction. Exploitation, extraction, destruction. Exploitation, distraction, a mantra of violence. A mantra of violence repeats, repetition, repeat, repetition, repetition, repeat. Standing in white predetermined spaces. Standing in white predetermined spaces where no one can hear you scream. And my breath taken is seen as breathtaking entertainment in an arena as who I am versus how I am perceived, hacked body parts gathered from different worlds with blood vessels as secret routes of encrypted realities, and the weight, this everlasting weight of intergenerational trauma in every movement, and in every movement there's pain crawling through roots, growing into what's called the Stockholm Syndrome, and I become a mutated late bloomer in a monoculture of blood and soil. And they say, keep your calm. You need to keep your calm. You need to keep your calm. Well, I am learning to keep my calm as a survival mechanism, despite the hidden rage, despite the underlying anger. The outburst will not come today. No, it will not come today because it might be too late or too early or, I don't know, at this hour. An experience of time that doesn't really interest me. I am, was, and will be in a sea of time, and storms in every cell of my body, clouds of grief that cross space-time, a mixture of continent with blood and oceans. Yes, that's also called créolisation, because color fights to survive in the multidimensional, in the cube of the so-called neutral, the house of hidden cadavers, the evil, the banal evil, the repertoire of Western hegemony, framed, hung, exhibit, lauded, reproduction after reproduction of delusions with performances of white innocence, white tears, white privilege, white everything, on rotting foundations, between walls and decay, and peeling pain that still wants to mercilessly subdue every explosion of color. And we walk around with phantom pains of all the spaces that were denied and taken from us. Thus, I am sitting in a Faraday cage, in an unfinished present tense, in a kind of matrix where neoclassicism, racism, fascism, sexism, and so many other isms keep flourishing. I, me, the fate of being strange. I, me, an extraterrestrial being. And today, I'm apparently attempting interplanetary communication and sending out distress signals telling the universe about all the invasions. You see these cities under ash, cities in ash, cities destroyed, in a society that is basically a pyramid scheme. I built spaceships in the forms of sarcophagi. And a dying world wants to touch the stars one last time, but they have failed. They have failed grandly. Those who could only press buttons and pull triggers, they have failed, and now there are only mushroom clouds. The rest is gone. They are an extension-level event since 1492 or 1453 or whenever you want to, whenever. Because when we look at 1492, the world discovered the Columbus virus and mercilessly suffered from it. Thus, I sail seas of time endlessly through multiple realities and open endings. This is my epic, my story, and even that today finds dust creeps and plastic stuff. The fire next time, the fire next time, the fire next time, but the fire is now. Climate change, climate on a pyre, white-hot anger. So yeah, please, pack your bags. Pack your bags, drag the debris of the present with you, and hope that you can build a future with it someday. Take one last look at the ruins, because who wants to turn back time? Who wants to drive the wrong way through history? Later, it will turn out that smartphones were actually black boxes that minutely recorded the descent into a collective system crash. So here are the shadowy existences, the sides of my shadowy existences, on days when I am not a supernova and stay in bed extinguished until zombification sets in, until I become a zombie. Here there is no gentle sleeping, and if you think so, you have bet on the wrong horse. This is the place where nightmares run. Multiple assaults on our psychological well-being every single day. Every single day, micro, meso, macro aggressions, racialized ad infinitum, and shipwrecked in a sea of whiteness. Well, that's why I very often stand at the altar of Frantz Fanon. Frantz Fanon, where my hands catch fire, allowing me to burn down institutional racism and neocolonialism every time it tries to touch us, tries to calm us down, tries to prevent us from addressing injustice, and demands our slavish obedience. I stand at the altar of Frantz Fanon, who cracks the codes of our bodies and tattoos the roots of our family tree. I stand at the altar of Frantz Fanon, who makes room for me, for us who wrote a future, past and present, in which we play a leading role. I also stand at the altars of my ancestors who narrowly survived the colonial virus, but could not prevent it from partially reprogramming them. I definitely do not want to stand at the altars of my ancestors who spread the colonial virus, causing us to be unwanted guests in their bloodline. I delve into the anatomy of anger, the autopsy of my innocence, and the alchemy of my resilience. I stand at the altar of those who have fallen, those who lost their voices because their language was no longer spoken. Creole, the African continuum, the African diaspora, the diaspora continuum with patchwork skin, corrugated iron houses, and crosses on the wall because the old gods no longer seem to listen. Facts. I stand at the altar of Frantz Fanon, where my hands catch fire, where I build lighthouses far, far away from the Enlightenment, away from the heart of darkness, development, and so-called civilization, away from every Leopold II Lane Street building, monument, and square, away from the Colonial Conference of Berlin, the Expo 58, and the Congolese Village, the CFA, Force Publique, Commonwealth, Département d'Outre-mer, and special municipalities. Camus' Stranger, all fiction and nonfiction by white writers who profit from displacement and exoticism. I stand at the altar of Frantz Fanon where my hands catch fire, but I am almost extinguished. I stand at the altar of us, for us, by us, the altar where our hands catch fire, where we embrace each other, and where the flames never go out. And I do not care and don't believe in biocentric, meritocratic, capitalist, imperialist, academic, hierarchical, paternalistic, sexist, heteronormative, binary, queerphobic, ableist, racist, colonial, speciesist, Eurocentric, communist, utopian, genocidal, conformist, monotheistic, monocultural, sectarian, fatphobic, transphobic, extractivist, anthropocentric, activist, institutional, vegetarian, white vegan, flexitarian, carnivorous, neutral, technocratic, neoliberal, conservative, qualitative, educational, violent, policing, militaristic, misogynistic, misogynoir, historicist, agnostic, atheist, absolutist, dictatorial, causalistic, socialist, genetic, exoticist, orientalist, anarchist, royalist, esoteric, dogmatic, deterministic, fatalistic, geocentric, hedonistic, humanistic, individualistic, intellectualistic, instrumentalistic, mortalistic, nativistic, optimistic, pessimistic, pluralistic, xenophobic, romantic, self-deterministic, subjectivistic, syndicalistic, triumphalistic, IQ bourgeois ideologies. Yes. Bruh. And then, to end, because I've been talking for a while, I will end with something slightly more upbeat. So I dream of my ancestors, and it doesn't matter if it's fiction, because history has always been molded and has different truths and lies. I quote vanished, forgotten pasts by reading scars from flesh-made hieroglyphics, all too often mistaken for tumors and carriers of disease. But this is the antidote, the totem of Babel, clear and murky languages, they say, mixed and mashed, creolisation, pidginification, patoology. I leave the known paths and get lost in every cosmology. wandering in the stories that reside in my ancestors and my descendants. I rewrite realities and constructions of time that rise from hourglasses. I am a born island, grown into an archipelago with coral contours and tentacles exploring the deep sea bottoms. I am an underwater astronaut, a Poseidon of my generation, salt seas and oceans in my veins, millions of bacteria that temporarily make me a little bit cosmos, or how the primordial soup also flows through my body. The construction of this specific constellation is a reproduction of the Big Bang that was coded in my DNA through oral tradition. Thus, I create. And know that I contain worlds, reforming the chalk lines of my timelines into circles, until everything comes back and I am reduced to a cosmic storm in an eternal night. I am the dream of my ancestors, so goodbye, good night. Thank you.